Hey traders, it's John Fortune here of this week's Weekly Forex Forecast for the 8th of April to the 12th of April 2019. As always, we're going to start off by looking at the US dollar index and oil before running through a number of markets, looking at the key levels of support and resistance in the process. I'm also going to highlight some of the targets that we're going to be looking for in the coming week and also for the weeks ahead. So let's jump over to the charts and see where the money is this week. As always, starting with the US dollar index. Now, last week we had a bit of a low volatility week in the markets. We did not have huge movements in the markets pretty much across the board, and the US dollar is in the very near term in this very short term range. However, we are treating all of this move up here as a corrective wave, and we're looking for further declines to the downside as a high probability move. We are starting to develop a bit of a reversal pattern in this area, although we haven't had a confirmed reversal pattern just yet. But very simply put, going into next week, we are looking for further declines in the US dollar index. And we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside in the target set, the 96.81. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside in target 2, at the 95.99. One final thing to note with the US dollar index going into next week is, although we are looking for further declines in the US dollar index as the higher probability play, it is not weak enough to expect the dollar to be weaker than all currencies going into next week. So as a result, we go into next week with a bearish to neutral bias on the US dollar index, and we will be trading the currency pairs on their own merit, on the basis that some currencies will likely be weaker than the US dollar next week, even if we have weakness in the dollar index. So next market we're going to look at is crude oil. Now, we did take out both the targets to the upside in crude oil as set out from last week. We are still trending to the upside in crude oil, so there is no reason for us to look for anything other than further advances and bullish setups in crude oil. If we can get a pullback, and preferably if we can get a pullback, because this will give us better risk to reward and it will give us a bigger target to aim for. If we can get a pullback, and preferably if we can get a retest of broken resistance from the past, turning support at the 60.14. This is going to be the preferable place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the first key area of resistance to the upside in the target set at 64.58. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside in target 2, the 65.95. So next market we're going to look at is euro dollar. Now, we start the week testing a key area of support at the 1.12150. In the euro dollar and also the dollar index, we have slightly adjusted these levels here from last week to accommodate last week's data and just to make them a little bit more accurate. And we are already as well starting to develop a bullish formations and pattern in this area. We have not yet confirmed this pattern. However, going into next week, we are looking at this as being an area for further advances to the upside in the euro dollar. And if we get the confirmed bullish formations and patterns in this area, we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside in the target set at the 1.1341. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside in target 2 at the 1.1419. So next market we're going to look at is pound dollar. Now, we start the week still with the uptrend in the pound dollar intact despite this near-term correction. We are still looking for further advances to the upside. So very simply put, if we can get a pullback, and preferably if we can get a retest of the 1.2960, this is going to be an area going into next week we're going to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And if we get the right kind of bullish formations and patterns in this area, we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside in the target set, the 1.3253. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside in target 2 at the 1.3364. So next market we're going to look at is US dollar Japanese yen. Now, we start the week above a key area of broken resistance from the past, looking to turn support at the 110.920. If we can get a pullback, and preferably, again, to get the best risk to reward ratios on our trades, if we can get a retest, although we don't need to have a retest, but if we can get a retest of broken resistance turning support at the 110.920, this is going to be the best place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key of resistance to the upside in the target set at the 112.23. Now, just be aware, the reason this level here is in black is because this is an area we could start to see a decline back to the downside. And if in this area we start to see bearish formations and patterns appearing, especially if this happens in conjunction with a weaker dollar index, this is an area we're going to start to potentially look for bearish setups. And we'll be looking back down towards the key area of support as a target down here at the 110.920. So the next market you're going to look at is Aussie dollar. Now we start the week above a key area of broken resistance from the past, looking to potentially turn support at 0.70640. We are actually stuck inside a range in the Aussie dollar, and the Aussie dollar could actually break either way. However, with the dollar index sitting where it is, and with the potential for further declines in the US dollar index, we are looking at a breakout of this range to the upside as the higher probability move. So very simply put, going into next week, if we can get a pullback, and preferably if we can get another retest of broken resistance turning support at 0.70640, this is going to be an area we're going to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And if we get the right kind of tradable bullish formations and patterns in this area, we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside, the target set, the 0.7168. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and target 2 at the 0.7235. So the next market we're going to look at is New Zealand dollar. Now we start the week declining to the downside in the New Zealand dollar. We did take out the target set from last week, and we're still looking for further declines in the New Zealand dollar in the near term. If we can get a pullback, we're going to be looking at using this as an opportunity to look for bearish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the next key area of support to the downside and the target set, the 0.6700. And if we can get a breakthrough here, and we'd have to break through here because you can see this black level shows this is an area we could actually bounce. But if we do get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside and target 2 at the 0.6610. Now the reason this level here, as I said, is in black is because this is an area where we can also start to look for a potential bounce. So if we trade into the 0.670, we're going to be looking to see if we develop bullish formations and patterns. And if we do get a reversal from this area, as opposed to trading straight through it, we're going to be looking back up to the next key area of resistance to the upside and the target set at the 0.6800. So the next market we're going to look at is US dollar franc. Now last week we were looking for a correction into the 1.0011/1.0020 area. You can see we have tagged the bottom of this area down here. So this is now a place after that low volatility week last week. We're going to start to look for potential bearish formations and patterns. And if we get the right kind of tradable bearish formations and patterns in this area, we're going to look at initiating shorts down towards the next key area of support to the downside and the target set at the 0.9928. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside and target 2 at the 0.9877. So next we're going to look at is US dollar CAD. Now we did come down and we bounced at the key area of support highlighted in previous videos at 1.33060. For anybody not already looking to the upside from the 1.33060, going into next week, if we can get a pullback into this area, any pullback, and especially if we can get another retest of broken resistance turning support at the 1.33060, any pullback in this area is going to be viewed as an opportunity to look for further advances to the upside. And if we get the right kind of tradable bullish formations and patterns in this area, we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and the target set, the 1.3467. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and target 2 at the 1.3564. And last but not least, we have gold. Now, over the last month or so in the forecast, we have been playing this range in gold. When we came down to the 128.410, this is where we were looking for a bounce to the upside, up towards the 1320.67. We had this rally to the upside. And once we got to the 1320.67, we said we were looking for a move back down to the key area of support of the 128.410. And we have in fact bounced at the 128.410. So going into next week, very simply put, this is an area now where we're going to start to look for a repeat of this move to the upside. So very simply put, if we get the tradable bullish formations and patterns that we look for in this area, we're going to be looking at initiating longs once again in gold. First of all, up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and the target set, at the 1310.90, and if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking back up towards the range top at the 1320.67. So that is it from me for this week, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know by liking, sharing and subscribing. A big thank you to everyone who does that on a regular basis, and a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel so far. I want to wish you all a fantastic week next week, and I hope you all have a nice weekend. The only thing left for me to say is take care and don't forget to trade safely.